Hello, my name's Elijah Wells, and today's review is Denis Villeneuve's Dune. Although the movie only does the first half of the famous Frank Herbert novel of the same name, the first half from just watching the movie, it's basically Paul Atreides and his family moved to Arrakis to, of course, harvest the spice, which is basically like fuel of this galaxy. But unfortunately, are put into a warlike scenario once Paul, played by Timothy Chalamet, has much of his family massacred around him, so he goes into hiding. Well, this is just part one, because it's literally just titled out when you go into the film. Being Denis Villeneuve's second film to be based of not just one of the most iconic sci-fi novels of all time, but also either a continuation or a remake of a niche early to mid 80s sci-fi property that bombed when it initially came out, but eventually grew somewhat of a cult following when time comes. But I think my favourite of his work is still Rival, which came out now like 5 years ago, which is still a brilliant movie. Yeah, and of course his trademarks are still present in this film, like his scope and his ambition. Like, he wants to go really all out with his production without going too overboard. And of course, the visual effects are amazing, which blends both CGI effects and oftentimes practical effects. Of course, I could not mention at all. I could mention how brilliant the Hans Zimmer score is. I think during the scene where they all arrive in Arrakis and there's bagpipe music, then it just continually builds and builds, and of course there's chanting as well, like chanting Paul's name like he's some sort of a messiah figure to them. And also there is the villainous chanting chanties, of course, which I'm feeling like is inspired by like Aboriginal music from Australia. Like, I kind of get that vibe from it as well. Yeah, music and visuals are brilliant as well. I think this is a really weird criticism I have, is that I don't think this movie in particular is like well rounded for its conclusion. Like, after Paul defeated one of the desert scavengers, Zendaya's character, who's only in the film for mostly at the last 10 minutes, but mostly appears sporadically throughout the film through flash forwards and philosophies. Yeah, it's like, oh, we're only just beginning. Then it just ends. I feel like, okay, you kind of chose kind of a weird sequel baity ending to end it on, but I am more than aware, like, the evening I've watched this film, literally, when I got back, it was announced that a Dune Part 2 is going to go out, which, okay, good success, but it kind of feels weird, the ending. Like, yeah, it gets not really under my skin. I just kind of get annoyed by it. Like, it's like, what if the film did not succeed? Like, what if the movie never got a sequel in the first place? Like, it kind of eggs me a little bit, like, oh, we've only just begun. And it just continues on to part 2. Even though I am more than excited for a second part for Dune, and seeing how the characters will evolve and how the story will progress. But I feel like this is kind of a little bit of a weird cut-off point, considering how massive the source material is. But who's the judge on that? Also, the movie has a stacked and one stacked cast, like Timothy Chalamet, Oscar Isaac, Josh Brolin, Stellan Skarsgård, Dave Bautista, Zendaya, and Jason Momoa, Javier Bardem. Like, even though someone like Javier Bardem or Zendaya will only appear in film for like 10 minutes, I think one of the more prominent roles that isn't Timothy Chalamet is Rebecca Ferguson, who plays his mother. As well, there's Oscar Isaac, who plays the father. And of course, there's Jason Momoa. There's Jason Momoa, whose name I can remember because it got memed all over Twitter, being Duncan Idaho. And also, I'm literally reading the names off from Wikipedia, like the character's name, so I can better remember it. Duncan Idaho. Of course, his performance is actually surprisingly brilliant for this time around. Yeah, since he is known for Aquaman and Game of Thrones as well, so even though despite the kind of a sequel despite the sequel baiting ending, which I kind of feel a bit miffed about, I actually liked how the absolute atmosphere, the absolute vibe the movie gives off. Like, the music is brilliant, the cinematography is gorgeous, the set decoration is amazing, and the sheer scope and ambition seems to one up his previous films like Arrival and Blade Runner 2049 of Denis Villeneuve's work. And a brilliant cast and great performances of Rebecca Ferguson and Timothy Chalamet. And I'm feeling an 8 out of 10 for this one. Let me know in the comments what you thought of Dune. Subscribe, like this video, and also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. And this is Elijah Wells, and bye.